Today, we're going to talk about active listening. To get us started, I want you to think about a case or a client relationship that went badly and what you might have done differently. Clients, when they come to your office, want to be heard and validated. Something terrible has happened in their life, and they need you to fix it, or they think you can fix it. In therapy, we're trained to validate clients' experiences and their truth to help establish rapport and communications. Lawyers are not therapists. I know that. But some days you may feel like an armchair psychologist. But enhancing your listening skills can create powerful synergy with clients that form a foundation for respect and a respectful relationship so that you can help them fix whatever their concern is in an effective and efficient way. Welcome to the Aaml Communication Initiative. My name is Dr. Diane Tennies, and I'm a forensic psychologist and a guardian ad litem. I've spent years watching the tensions between lawyers and clients that seem in part to result from clients believing that they haven't been heard. Today, we're going to give you some strategies and specific suggestions and skills to make a difference at the beginning of the relationship that you have with your clients. Because when they feel heard and validated, it makes the job that has to be done much easier. So let's start with what is active or mindful listening. Essentially, it's listening carefully to the story being told and responding in a way that people then believe that they're understood. Not that you necessarily agree with them, but that they feel understood. What happens when people feel understood? Well, one is they're more disclosing. They're not as guarded. They have more trust in what you have to say, and it builds for a more respectful relationship. Lawyers often have to give advice that people either don't like or don't agree with because they don't believe it meets what they want. It's much easier to accept advice from people we trust and have a respectful relationship with, and that means feeling heard. It also helps to reduce the stress that you feel as a lawyer when the relationship is going badly and there's a lot of resistance. And in fact, what happens in relationships when people don't feel validated or understood? They get resistant. They argue. They're combative. This happens a lot when you challenge the relationship too early. Active listening can make a real difference. Why is active listening so difficult for all of us, particularly in the role that you have? Well, the lens of the lawyer is about what's provable, admittable, and moves towards settlement. If you can suspend that perspective briefly at the beginning of the interactions with your clients and engage in more active or mindful listening, it can really make a difference. But this doesn't happen overnight. It really doesn't come natural for most of us. It takes active planning and thought. It doesn't happen by accident. And the reason is that you all have had years in school and in practice of advocating for clients based on the law and what you can prove. But this is a different approach, at least at the beginning, because to do this successfully, it means that clients will now believe that you understand them and have their best interest at heart, and that you've really reflected and thought about what they've said to you. So let's talk about concrete skills that are part of active listening. There's 3 sections to this. There's a cognitive, an emotional, and a behavioral part, which makes sense because we can break down lots of things that way. The cognitive section has to do with being present. That means things like not having your phone go off or be on. You're not looking at your phone. Your staff isn't coming in and out. You're not jumping up. And that's really hard when you have a busy day, I get that. But this is about the fact that clients are going to, at least initially, be very vigilant to whether you are going to make them a priority. And you can show that by simply sitting and being present. Maybe not interrupting as much. Being curious about their story, even if it's the same story you've heard 200 times. In mindfulness, we call this a learner's mind. The ability to kind of approach it as if you've never been there before. So those are some cognitive strategies. There's also emotional strategies. Those are things such as not being reactive, not resonating the emotions that a lot of the clients bring into the office. Now, this is very different than empathy, which is that ability to put yourself in someone else's shoes. But clients also need to believe that you're not going to get reactive when they do. So being able to sit with them, be present, and listen. And this is a tough one, not prejudge what you're hearing. No matter what the issue that the client's bringing to you, domestic violence, substance abuse, mental health issues, at the beginning, all of them, no matter what other presentations they have, need to feel heard and not judged. And those are those emotional pieces that we have to all manage. So these are all internal or pieces that we're managing, the cognitive, the emotional, and now let's talk about the behavioral. So those are things such as eye contact, your facial expression. Now that's tough if you're wearing a mask these days, obviously. Things like, are you leaning forward to listen, to show that you're attentive? Are you nodding? Are you making neutral comments like, mm-hmm? Are you saying things like, tell me more? Are you asking specific questions to help truly understand the story? And finally, another behavioral strategy is to be comfortable with silence, something that most attorneys do very well. But sometimes just sitting and letting the client regroup and continue with their story without feeling pushed can be very powerful in terms of, ironically, an active listening strategy. So in summary, active listening takes practice. It means slowing down and showing that you're reflective and responsive to the client as you start the relationship with them by validating their experiences. So I want you now to reconnect with that case I mentioned at the beginning and just think about whether there might have been some things you could have done differently at the beginning to better connect with the client through active listening. And one final thought for you. In the trainings that I do with lawyers and judges, I often hand out rubber ducks. Now, I know this is a flamingo, but think of it as a rubber duck. And the reason I do that is it's a transition object as people are leaving the training. And it's a reminder of taking care of yourself to be in the best position you can to help other people. So you probably heard that saying, it's like water off a duck's back, the idea that you can't absorb everything that you hear and happens in your workday, because otherwise you're not going to be in the best position you can be in to help your clients and to be able to actively listen and be present. So I encourage you to find ways to build more active listening into your practices so that you're showing you're curious, you're respectful, and you're reflective with your clients. I hope you found this video helpful and that you'll also tune in and watch the rest of the videos from the AAML Communication Initiative. Take care.